Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
He's not a big name, but here's what I'll say is Utah Valley is a shitty job. It's a awful, awful job. And what he did there to get it going. And I know they've had success since he left, but he built it there. He built it and made it a pretty good job, but it is a brutally tough job. Talking to people, and this is the biggest key with me, right? Like he's a former NBA guy, but he only made $4 million in his career. He's not really a former NBA guy in a sense of like Juwan Howard, some of the guys who have failed, right? Mullen, Ewing, Juwan, Stackhouse, those guys made $50, $100 million. He made nothing. So my biggest worry was like, all right, is Mark Pope a killer worker? And I just talked to like 3 people this morning, and they were all, one of which was Mark Fox. And he said, like, all he does is work. No hobbies, no golf, no anything. Obviously, he's got family. His kids are all pretty much older. I think he's got one daughter. The youngest is still in high school. But, again, this is a guy who was in medical school. This is a guy who again, left it because he wanted to be a coach. But he's just wired to work. That's the biggest thing. He's got incredible energy, dynamic personality, magnetic with people, can read the room, can adapt. He's going to be able to recruit a high. Listen, the bottom line is people who are saying he couldn't recruit at a high level. He's at BYU. He's at Utah Valley. How is he going to be able to recruit at a high level at those places? You're limited at BYU, number one. Very limited who you're going to be able to get at those places. Utah Valley, obviously, you're not getting anybody. You're going to have to find and develop guys. But, he's got a great mind for the game. He's going to be able to recruit because he's going to have all the resources to be able to do it. You don't think Kentucky, Rob, is going to pour everything they've got into NIL now because Calipari's got everything he needs at Arkansas? You don't think they're going to step up and say, screw that. We're not letting Cal beat us now in league?
And here's the other part of it, right? Like Mark Pope won a national title. Won a national title with one of the best college basketball teams of all time.
Yeah, he did.
when he was at Kentucky.
Yeah, stop talking. Try to collect yourself.
Yeah, no,
I'll give you a 5-second breather here.
I got something stuck in my throat when I was sitting here trying to talk. No, but he won a national title with one of the most memorable teams of all time, and a team that I'm assuming Kentucky fans are very, very that the older generation of Kentucky fans love. And the older generation of Kentucky fans are the ones that are going to have all of this money to spend, right? Like we're not talking about the 23-year-old college kids that are out here raging on Twitter and raging in the YouTube comments about this hire. The people that are going to donate money that are going to help fund this are going to be people that look back on Mark Pope's time in Lexington very, very fondly. And I think that they'll probably be able to raise a little bit more than people realize. Because unless some of these people that are sitting here yelling at us in YouTube comments are going to pony up the money themselves, if Bruce Pearl was hired, are you going to be out there giving $500,000 Kentucky Outdoors Life to donate to the collective that they have? If you are, then you know what? I'll eat my words. If not, then how about you pipe down?
No, listen, right? I'm not going to say I would have hired, if all things were equal, that I would have hired Mark Pope over Bruce Pearl, because I wouldn't have. I would have hired Bruce Pearl personally. But
I don't know if. And I would too. Like I'm not disagreeing with that sentiment. I'm just saying I don't think that you would have been able to. I don't think you
would have been able to. No, that's not true. If Mitch Barnhart hired John Calipari 15 years ago, I think he would have been able to now.
No, I'm saying would Bruce have left like that? To me, that seems
maybe
like another situation.
I think there's a chance. Sure.
And the other thing that I'll say is like, it's not 5 years ago. It's not 3 years ago. A lot of these coaches have realized that there are a lot of places where you can make absolute life-changing money and be able to win at a very high level and be able to be in a place where you're not in the pressure cooker that is Lexington, Kentucky, and be able to do it and live a different quality of life. Like, I think that's part of the reason why Scott Drew didn't leave. Like, you know how great his life is in Waco right now? They're going to build him a statue in 10 years. If he has a losing record for the next 10 seasons, he's not going to get fired and he's still going to get his damn statue. at Baylor, right? Like life is great for him in Waco. It is stress-free. He can go out and do his job. He can do whatever he wants to do. He can have fun. He can be Scott Drew, right?
Sure.
In Auburn, Bruce Pearl has it rolling right now to the point where he has the best home court advantage in the SEC. He's got a job where there is let's just say a realistic possibility. I don't know. I don't want to put a percentage on it, but a realistic possibility that he could set up his son to be the guy that takes over the program afterwards. You don't think that matters to him? Kelvin Sampson.
I do, but here's what I'll say. I'll push back on you on this. Can you win a national title at Auburn, Rob? Can you win a national title at Auburn?
I mean, look, he's made it to a Final Four. He's made it to a Final Four at Auburn. He's won 2 SEC titles in the last 5 years. He's won 2 SEC tournament titles in the last 5 years. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and say that you can't win a national title.
Okay, where? Give me the percentages. All right, give me the percentage that you think you can win a national title at Auburn if you're Bruce Pearl. What's the percentage?
No, it's definitely easier to win a national title when you're at Kentucky, but I'm not saying it can't be done when you're at Auburn. And if the choice is, I'm going to have to go to Kentucky, rebuild at Kentucky.
But rebuild what? Rebuild what? You're taking all your guys with you from Auburn. It's not rebuilding anymore.
You made this exact same argument for why Scott Drew should leave Baylor for Kentucky, and he didn't leave Baylor for Kentucky.
It's different. I'm just saying. It's different. It's family. No. Scott Drew didn't leave because of family. Bruce Pearl, the reason he wouldn't leave isn't because his family wouldn't be okay with him going there. The reason he wouldn't honestly go is just because, I think he would go. I think he would go is what I'm trying to say. I think he would take Kentucky. If Kentucky had come after Bruce Pearl with whatever contract, I actually think Bruce Pearl would have said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot to win this whole thing. I got about 5 years left. Let me see what I can do, whether I can get Stephen Pearl the job at Auburn or not.
We talked about this. We talked about this last week when the news broke was it last week? It was Sunday. News broke on Sunday. It feels like that was 18 years ago. That is why he seemed like, of the biggest names, he seemed like the most realistic one.
Yes.
To be able to go. I don't think it was a guarantee. You might have gotten him.
No, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been a guarantee.
I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm saying even if it's 50-50, I probably would have rolled that dice if I was Mitch Barnhart. I'm not waiting for Billy Donovan.
I will say this. I understand the hesitancy to hire Chris Beard, right? Sure. Because there's a difference between issues with the NCAA and the legal issues that he had, right? And I think I don't think that I think that's a pretty obvious thing to say. I would have gone after Sean Miller and Bruce Pearl before going after Mark Pope. I don't know if it's worth it to wait it out for Billy. Like this next week, this next 8 days is really, really important when it comes to the transfer portal cycle, right? And making sure that you get some of these big guys that are big names that are in the portal still. So I don't know if I necessarily would have waited to be able to just negotiate with Billy Donovan until the season was over.
Chance you got him anyway. Small chance, really small.
But I would have gone really hard after first Bruce Pearl, then Sean Miller. I think it's less likely you would have gotten Bruce. I think you probably could have gotten Sean Miller to make the trek down to Lexington.
Here's one for you. Brad Underwood or Mark Pope, who would you have hired?
Probably Brad Underwood, I think.
Again, here's the thing with Pope. You can be the seventh choice. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? They're not gonna win the press conference. Pat Kelsey, when they hired him at Louisville, they hated it. Now they're kind of into it now because he brings energy. Pope's going to bring some energy, not at the level of Kelsey, but he'll bring some energy. He'll unite the fan base even more. He'll get along with people. I don't think that's the problem. I think, again, you got to look at it as now he's got a job that he's never had before. What can he do with an elite level job? When you have those resources, that fan base, I think, again, it'll be hard to screw it up. It'll be hard. I'm not saying it's going to be Cal, early on Cal, but I think they'll be very, very competitive. And I would say
I don't think anybody can be early on Cal. Like, let's get that thought out of our minds that you're going to go out and get someone. What do you make, like 5 out of 7 in Final Fours and won a national title in that mix? Like, no one is good. You're not hiring someone that is going to go out there and do the things that John Calipari did in the first like 6 or 7 years of his. There was a while we think about him as a guy that can't coach right now because the last 4 years have been ugly, but there was a while where he looked like he was on a track to be the best of all time. Like, I don't think that that's an exaggeration to say that, like, after his first 6 or 7 years, he looked like he could end up being in that conversation for the greatest coach in the history of college basketball. Here's
what I'll say, Rob. Here's what I'll say when it comes to Mark Pope. I will wear your Vassar College jersey in 4 years if Mark Pope doesn't get to the second weekend at least once, probably twice in the next 4 years. All right, so 4 years, Cal didn't get there. Cal didn't get there in the last 4 years. He had one tournament win in the last 4 years. I'd be shocked if Pope doesn't get there multiple times past the first weekend because, again, is he going to get the highest level recruit? I don't know, but I'm not sure necessarily that's what you need anymore.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.